So we're going to start this episode with my final thoughts about the BRZ and FR-S. It's a sheep in wolf's clothing. It just falls short of greatness due to all the cost-cutting efforts they've put in place. It's fun, it's practical, and economical to drive, but it lacks the refinement of a modern-era sports car. The reason is, I think they've left a lot of that to the aftermarket and the owners to figure out. The only way to put this car in perspective is, let's say you wanted a cheeseburger really bad. And the thing is, everybody stopped making them. So for 10 years, you didn't have anything. And then all of a sudden, one day, McDonald's gets the bright idea to come up with a new cheeseburger. Ooh. Now the thing is, after 10 years, this is amazing. This is probably the best cheeseburger I've ever had, and I can't believe I've gone so long without it. I'm done with that. Now, let's say that now Burger King wants in on the action. You have another option. Now, the thing is with the McDonald's burger, sure, it was good. Everybody really enjoys it, but they offer something that the McDonald's burger didn't. A little bit of refinement, a poppy seed bun. We have mayonnaise, lettuce, and pickles, and it's char grilled. The flavor is, let's just try it. Yeah, that works for me. I love myself a good cheeseburger. I love it all over my lips. Sometimes I love it on my body. But in this case, this wasn't just to enjoy cheeseburgers. It was to make a point that there hasn't been a car like the FR-S or BRZ that has been released in the past 10 years or so. We've had the S2000, and I really think that's the closest car you could compare this to. And the sad part about it is that car was designed about 15 years ago. So what's been going on in that time frame? Just not a whole hell of a lot. So the thing is this is good right now. We have the McDonald's cheeseburger, and everybody thinks it's so great. But the fact is, when we start getting competition involved, this is not going to be as great as it seemed at first. So what does it mean? It's time to start modifying. For most cars, the first thing that people are going to do in terms of modification are always going to be intake and exhaust. It's usually the simplest and cheapest way to make power gains or to make an audible difference in your driving experience. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start with a Perrin header back exhaust, which is an excellent quality piece and has a lot of good press. So we're going to go over that, install it, and put it on the dyno and see exactly what it does. We're back and we are going to start removing the factory exhaust. Okay, so what Scott's gonna do now is, where's your little hammer, Scott? Because that's what the instructions say. So what the instructions say to do is to take a hammer to the bushing to get the muffler out, and that's all you have to do. And now, pull it for you.
Oh, I gotta get it through. There, ready?
Yeah. Turbowski wants me to just show you the raw performance of the OEM exhaust pipes. So now the factory exhaust is almost out pretty much. What do we have left? Overpipe. Oh. There you go. So yeah, the overpipe doesn't just slide out like that. You actually have to remove the 14mm bolt in the subframe up here per one of the instructional videos, and then raise the engine up a little bit with that pipe.
Do not drive this vehicle unless you are familiar with its unique handling and performance characteristics.
That says it all right there. 160 horsepower, you gotta be careful. All right, so taking off the overpipe, we discovered this plate up here. Right there, we saw some oil at the bottom of this guy here that's collecting, and that must be the reason for the smell that's coming from this car that's dripping on the exhaust. So we just did a little research online. Of course, it's on the forums. Apparently this plate, there's some pump for the automatic transmission, and they just cover it up, and these bolts are either not retorqued enough or the seal underneath it is bad. So now that the exhaust is off, the factory exhaust is off, we've got the oil leak figured out, not technically fixed. Now we're gonna put the overpipe on and then the Perrin exhaust. Oh bro, I see you got some nail polish for me. Oh, what kind is it?
It's anti-seize color.
Oh, it's anti-seize? So we don't seize up when we're making love? All right, we've discovered another wonderful issue here. How close this overpipe is actually to the Strano parts sway bar and these annoying retainers at the end. So we're gonna have to see if that's gonna touch, because it sure looks like it will. So Scott's retorquing the bolt that is going back into the subframe to 64 pounds, or is it 62 pounds? It's actually 62 pounds. So this is the bolt that you had to loosen, the nut, sorry, on the subframe to lift the engine up enough with the jack to get the overpipe out and the new one back in. So Scott's taking apart the mid pipe with the cat and removing the hardware from the Perrin boxes here. And the quality of the hardware looks to be pretty good. The overall appearance of the exhaust parts at this point appear to be good. So that's promising. So Turbowski's got the Perrin mid pipe out. And this is the Perrin logo that's kind of spot welded onto the pipe. I can't wait to see how that's going to look after one winter.
Which one goes first? This is a glass pack here.
It's a glass pack. Is that going to make it sound sporty?
Yes, it's going to sound like a Dodge Challenger.
Oh God, that's one of the best cars ever made.
With a V6.
Oh, V6 Challenger?
Yeah.
I got 3 of those. So Turbowski, what's the chances this will work well with the turbo kit?
Well, there's a perfect mount for it right here.
That's where you're gonna mount the turbo?
Yes, under the behind the car.
Oh, okay.
Let's see how this bitch looks with the white tips on there.
This exhaust, I'm gonna deadlift it. All right, we got a real performance exhaust on right now. It's good for about 300 horsepower, and I'm gonna start it up for the first time, and we're gonna really hear what this car can do. so we have the muffler on the car, and this is the V-band clamp that Perrin provides. It's actually pretty handy. Obviously we don't have it tightened down yet, but this is gonna lead to the mid pipe from the rear. And Scott's got that in his hands. He's carrying it like a child. And he's got his donuts. Look at the way he treats it. So almost everything's tightened up here with the exhaust, except these V-band clamps. We're gonna align it, drop the car down, kind of get it centered, and then tighten everything down, and we should be done and ready to test it. You can see these little holes. We used, once we got it centered by hand, we kind of kept these in here just so we didn't have to hold it center, and then just started tightening it down so it was tight enough. Okay, go ahead. This is the start up the Scion FR-S with the Perrin exhaust. Right now it's about at 80 decibels, and this is a cold start, so you'll get a good idea of exactly what it sounds like when you're starting in the garage. Okay, now that the car has gone through its initial warm-up phase, the idle dips back down to about 700 RPMs. And at about, at cold start, it was at about 82 decibels. Now that we're warmed up, we're idling at about 58 decibels, which is a huge drop. So the next installation we're gonna do here is the coil radiator. And really the coil radiator was a decision I made to do after our stock autocross and our stock dynos, where we saw that coolant temperatures seemed to rise to a point and then constantly bounce between when the fans kicked on at 212, and they would start to cycle between 212 and 220 back and forth. And it never really recovered until you got into clean air or you started the car moving. So I knew going into this was something that was probably important to do if you're in traffic, for example, would be your best scenario where the stock radiator would see some heat soak. So you can take a look here at the fast motion version of how this radiator install went down. You have to take the front bumper off. You have to take the front bumper latch and latch support apart. But the variable that you have to account for is that you have to bleed the cooling system, which takes time to do it properly. To burp it, to get all the air out of it is critical. So I chose to do it before I did the supercharger just to make sure I didn't have any cooling issues before I threw it on there. So just be aware of that if you're gonna do this at the same time. All right, so we're starting to disassemble the car here. I have to flash the ECU and basically take out the airbox and a whole bunch of other assorted things under the hood, and then we can start the meat and potatoes of this install. So it's time to flash the ECU. We have the ECU tech kit here, and the flash is provided by Perrin. So I'm gonna use a Dell XPS 13, which is a very small, compact laptop, and it's perfect for data logging and just overall doing anything in the car. So we're gonna plug this in, load the ROM, and then get on our way. It's already been opened because I had to get the... First thing you wanna do before you do this is you actually want to plug this in, load all the software, which I've already done, and then when you're done with that, you need to plug it in and just kind of check the ECU information, and it'll tell you what version software that the ECU has. You send it to your tuner so they know, and that you need to get the file that way before you even do this. And I almost made the mistake of just coming in today and not doing that. We kind of would have been dead in the water. So you plug your license key into one side of your laptop, and the OBD2 connector into the other, so you can see here. And then the OBD2 connector goes directly into the OBD2 port, obviously. All right, this is the joy of modifying cars. On the very first step of plugging into the ECU to reflash, it appears the OBD2 connector on the car has a little bit of a problem with connectivity, and it could be a loose wire, I don't know, but first step. All right, we're 3 hours in, and we still haven't got past the first step, which is flash the ECU. And it's because the OBD2 connector is, some of the ports or the pins have been stretched out beyond belief, and the ECU tech cable no longer communicates with it. It gets power, but it kind of flickers. So we've kind of taken the dash apart a little bit, unseated the OBD2 connector, and Turbowski has massaged the pins. All right, we're gonna attempt to flash this, and this is pretty risky given the cable is fucking ruined. All right, ready? It's time to flash. Okay, the reflash is completed, so now we're gonna take a break. All right, I don't hate, that's a strong word. I don't like modifying cars. And one of the reasons I don't like modifying cars is because it doesn't matter what you do, you're always gonna have some chicken shit problem that's gonna annoy the fuck out of you. So we started at 10 o'clock this morning, and it's now 3:15, and the only thing we've accomplished is programming the ECU. So we still got the entire Vortech kit, Perrin oil cooler, the radium catch can, and Turbowski is gonna need a BJ by the time this is done. So I just don't know where today's gonna go, but it sure hasn't started well. Welcome to modifying vehicles. That's a pretty efficient airbox, actually. Turbowski's taking the bull by the horns. He's removing the AC compressor shroud and the alternator shroud per the instructions. He's already removed the sound tube, but we have yet to cap it. The sound tube is very performance oriented. So right now we're finishing up the sound tube deletion. We're gonna pull the original radium catch can off, and then we're gonna cap this tube. As you can see, here's the original radium can that I had on the car, and you can see kind of how much oil residue is on there. I need to drain the can, but this will be preparing us for the dual catch can setup that I have here. And let's check on what Turbowski's doing. Behind each headlight assembly, the main electrical connector lays in a cradle extending from the assembly. Pull the connector from the assembly and place aside. Do not disconnect the connector.
Say that again. Disconnect the connector, but do not disconnect it?
Pull the connector from the assembly and place aside. Do not disconnect the connector. It probably means just don't disconnect from here. I'm assuming this is the cradle. Or is this the cradle over here? Well, this is printed out. I'll pull it up on my computer because it's a lot clearer. All right, so now we're gonna have to look at that manual online, and we're gonna connect here to wireless. It looks like Rectum Wrecker's open, and we're gonna connect directly to Rectum Wrecker. All right, part of Vortech's manual, as you can see here online, I printed it out, but the pictures suck on the printout. So what you do is when you click on the pictures, it actually takes you to a website to download the picture to see it in high resolution, which is good for us. Apparently, they want you to grind the hell out of this, this little assembly here, which we're gonna do. Temporarily loosen the shorter mounting bolt on the outboard side of the alternator. Remove the longer bolt on the opposite side. Rotate the inboard side of the alternator upwards. Yeah, the nub, that's what I'm talking about.
This whole thing gotta get dropped.
Okay, so per the next part of the instructions here, we have the lower alternator bracket, which we have a picture in here online, and it says to use the 5/16 by 5 bolt with a thick washer provided. Well, there's multiple 5/16 washers here that fit, and there's no picture of what thick means. So this is a problem just with documentation more than anything. This is the bolt that the 3 bolts are going to tighten to 18.4 pounds of torque with a torque wrench. Remove the 2 lower OEM AC mount bolts. Yeah, remove them both. Turbowski here has discovered that this bracket is 2 pieces. Oh, why didn't you show him that?
Oh, we screwed it together.
Oh, well, let's see the other end. Okay, so this is 2 pieces, and in the instructions, it doesn't really detail that these are 2 pieces. It says to attach, and then it shows you a picture of it already on the car. So it's just kind of another hole in the instructions. Or not a hole, but not clear. So we're gonna mount the radium catch can. This is a dual catch can system. One catch can is for the PCV hose, enters into the can, exits out back into the intake manifold. The other one is the breather line, which vents from behind the AC compressor back into the intake track. Now why this is important is because with a supercharged or turbocharged car, there's a lot of blow-by from the extra pressure. So what that does is it blows fuel and oil into the PCV lines and the breather lines that if you don't catch it or accumulate it in this can, it will just blow right back in the system. So you're gonna get excess oil and fuel back into the intake manifold, which you'll get on the valves, the intake valves, And then secondarily, the intercooler will get accumulated with oil from the breather side, which isn't really a problem with a naturally aspirated car, but it will be with a supercharged or turbocharged car. So that's why a catch can or dual catch can is very important. So we're halfway done through the install, and so far the day is extremely long. Unfortunately, we've run into more problems than I would have liked to, and I anticipated the worst. Granted, we didn't have any serious deal breakers yet, but just enough to drop the morale of the whole build. Okay, we're to the point where we're mounting the Vortech blower to the support brackets and routing the belt. And one of the things to note that Turbowski pointed out is it will be an absolute pain in the balls to replace this belt if it goes bad, because basically the supercharger is going to sit right in front of the belt. Whereas right now you can just pull out the tensioner pulley and the belt comes off. Well, if this belt breaks, you're going to have to unbolt the entire supercharger from the bracket. It's just a pain in the balls. All right, shit's moving along here. We pretty much have the supercharger close to being bolted on. I'm working on the catch can, and now we're going to put the belt on.
Oh, don't put your fingers underneath that pulley. Let go.
Okay.
Alright, that's it. That's all the room you got. You're gonna have to find a way to get that bitch out.
There's no way, dude. There's no way. There's no way it's gonna go. You can let go. Where else could you pull the slack out of? There's nowhere else to adjust it. Like the alternator can't be loosened? No.
They said to put it on the alternator last.
That's what it says.
If you fucking ask me, I think something accessible like this. Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's it. Is it anywhere near?
Yeah, it's on.
Is it?
Yeah, it's on.
Holy shit. And now it's off the fucking tension.
Is it?
Can you see right down back there? Can you just push it on the pulley? Oh, from top.
No, top. Oh, this one here?
No,
Wait, I can't see which one you're talking about.
this right there. Push it.
Back? Oh,
It's on.
it's on. Okay.
Holy shit.
Okay, go ahead. All right, so we placed the relocation prop rod, and the bracket needs to be bent or it starts hitting that corner. As you can see over there, it just rubs on that plastic. So there's already a little bit of a scratch there from that. So it's another thing we didn't find in the instructions, but had to improvise. This one doesn't have to be modified, but this one does, right? Okay, we're at we're about 11 hours, and I think the Vortech kit should be called cut, hack, bend, because there's not a lot of, well, no, okay, there's most of it's plug and play, but there's a lot of stuff on here that you're having to cut, you're having to bend. Our intercooler, I mean, it took us over an hour to get the intercooler mounted. There's a lot of like miscellaneous shit you got to do to get this going. It's the little things like this shit. This doesn't come assembled. You know, you got to put all this stuff together. You got this jerry-rigged friggin' tube that they've thrown together. So I had to cut the harness to get this cable to reach down here. Now, if you look at the OEM tank, it's a much bigger, obviously, but it was in there like that. Okay, so the OEM tank, the actual sensor or the pump was over here on the side. This one is at the bottom. And if you look at this, yes, the bumper is going to be on, it's going to hold it in place, but it's right on the harness. So if you take any type of underbody impact, it's just going to break this whole thing right off. So it's piss poor design, absolutely. Yeah, the next thing we're doing is we're trying to run these intercooler piping off. All right, so we're installing the last of the intercooler tubes, or whatever you want to call them, discharge tubes. This is another friendly surprise from the box. This tube's dented at the end, which, I mean, I'm pretty sure we can bend back. There's something critical that Vortech left off the instructions, and it may sound like common sense, but those discharge tubes going from the engine bay down to the intercooler, there's not a lot of detail on how to install them. Now, granted, it sounds simple, but let me just say I've had my bumper off 4 times trying to realign the pipes to make sure that they're not banging into the bumper support beam or the actual frame rails. They're extremely close. Your clearance is less than an inch. So what that means is if you're gonna go over a bumps, or any type of large suspension undulations, it's possible that those discharge tubes are going to be banging on the frame rails. Now, the bad part is I've already had my MAF tube off because Vortech had to send me a replacement. It had a bend in it from the factory. I've had to replace that tube, and the first tube I took off, there was actually scarring in the pipe from it rubbing on the actual frame rail, which is pretty serious because if you wear a hole in, you're going to have a potential boost leak. And if you have a boost leak, the car is either going to stall, not run correctly, or even worse, a piece of that metal could shoot back off into the intake, cause some serious damage. So you're going to want to make sure that those tubes are installed properly, despite the instructions not even mentioning it.
All right, let's go drive it.
We got to figure out this fucking thing, the breather tube.
Fuck the breather tube.
Oh, I see it.
Well, that fucking moves all around.
I'm trying to straighten this. Okay, so this video is insanely long, but we wanted to show you the process of what we went through. Everything's installed. We've been waiting for a couple weeks for Perrin to get back on the tuning front. So they've given us the green light to run it on the dyno. So what we're gonna check is map 1. That's our most conservative tune. It's got a degree of advanced timing. Map 2 is just the same as map 1 with more ECU tech features enabled like auto blip downshift, etc. We have map 3, which is another additional degree of timing, and map 4 is another degree of timing forward. And then it enables the other features of ECU tech like flat foot shifting, auto blip downshift, and launch control. So we're gonna see and we're gonna detail what the power was for each map and let you decide. initially on driving, what you'll hear is just a little bit of a whine, and it's not something that continues as the RPMs build, but you can just hear the slightest faint and idle that compressor's on the pulleys. There's something to be noted about the Vortech kit, or basically any aftermarket forced induction you're going to do. When it comes down to it, when you're done with the installation, and the installation is correct, you're almost completely at the whim of your tuner. With my installation specifically, I chose Perrin, and with Perrin, I have gone back and forth and had 3 different flash files from them so far, and it could honestly use a couple more. After talking to Jeff, he said I'm probably a good candidate for a custom tune, and in my area that's literally impossible, so I would have to either ship the car somewhere or fly a tuner out that knows what they're doing to come out here to work on my vehicle. Now the good thing is that Perrin was able to get the car dialed in as much as possible online, but the bad thing is there's some weird bugs with the way that the car drives.
My Scion FR-S makes 212 brake horsepower. I will run it flat out in the fastest run group.